Hello everyone, welcome back to the beating pulse of celebrity intrigue. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Today's story feels like it was penned for a tear-stained script, yet every word pulses with reality. For weeks we've journeyed through a maze of whispers, decoding every like, every sly look, and every coincidental crossing of paths, wondering if the spark between two of Turkey's brightest stars had found life again. But sometimes truth arrives without a fairy tale ribbon, and it takes your breath away. Before we step into the words that shattered illusions and set new boundaries, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, and, if you value the careful, compassionate investigations we bring, consider pressing the join button. Your support keeps Turkish Spotlight Secrets digging for the depth behind the headlines. Ready to face it? Let's go. The gossip universe has circled a single, burning question for what feels like forever. Did the legendary romance between Cemre Arda and Gökberk Yıldırım manage to rise from the ashes, or were we chasing shadow puppets cast by nostalgia? Timelines became battlegrounds of theories. Every cryptic caption, every off-camera smile, every unplanned encounter in the city's buzzing corners was treated like an omen of reunion. But the lofty tower built on hunches and hope trembled when the woman at the center of it all stopped running from the echo and spoke for herself. Cemre Arda, with disarming courage, put an end to the guessing with a sentence that will reverberate for a long while: what we share is love that cannot live. It wasn't a throwaway phrase tossed at photographers outside a doorway. It felt deliberate, like the punctuation at the close of a long, complicated chapter. After a special TV appearance, refusing to hide behind a bland agency statement, Seamra opened herself to direct questions, no buffer, no spin, and let the truth find air. Her confession, raw yet steady, took the shine off the fantasy without turning cruel. Cemre, who was famously protective of her private life, had endured in silence while the rumor mill throbbed, tying her name to Gökberk's again and again. This time, she refused to let silence speak for her. With a voice made of steel and rain, she gave words to what many suspect but few dare to admit: the grand romance we root for isn't always one we can live inside. People want us to be the ending of a story that always circles back to the same embrace, she said, almost to the audience and almost to herself. But life is messy, eh? Feelings matter, yet the wreckage left behind matters too. Analysts took that as the clearest compass we were going to get. It wasn't that love had burned out. It was that the scaffolding needed to hold it up had never been rebuilt. Not all wounds close just because the calendar pages turn. And this is where I stop to ask our Turkish Spotlight Secrets family, do you agree with Cemre? Is love, on its own, enough to carry the weight of a life together, or do trust, time, and history bend the shape of everything? We want to read your real thoughts in the comments. If our deep dive helps you make sense of the noise, hit like, it tells us to keep going. Cemre went further, and this is where the air grew heavier. She acknowledged that the past still presses on the present like a hand that won't lift. Moments we lived. Promises that cracked. The words that came sharp. And worse, the stretches of silence she shared. Those don't disappear because you wish they would. She didn't deny that her heart still knows his name, if anything, admitting that love remains was the detail that hurt the most. Then she drew a line with careful clarity. I can feel deeply and still know we cannot move forward together. It was not romanticism. It was acceptance. In private circles across Istanbul, her words were read as a mature farewell, the kind that honors what once was without pretending a path still exists. The rumors about recent meetings? Those weren't wrong, but they were misunderstood. Not candlelit journeys back into the old story. More like careful conversations to close open windows, to let drafts settle, to finally put into language what stayed knotted for years. According to a close confidant, Cemre told a friend something that captures the tragedy in one breath: I can't pretend Gökberk isn't still carved into me, but I can't rewrite an ending that already hurt us once. Two people, still connected, yet unable to share the same roof. There had been chatter about interference from third parties. Names tossed around like darts in a bar, yet Cemre refused to make anyone a villain. No one pushed us apart, she explained. It wasn't a person. It was the weight of everything we've lived. She pointed to arguments that dug too deep, and to the times no one spoke at all, when silence felt like a wall that kept growing. Her line, almost a benediction, traveled fast. Sometimes there are no guilty parties, just two hearts that ran too hard for too long and need to rest. And where does Gökberk stand in all of this? If you look for a dramatic statement, you won't find one. He didn't appear with a grand speech. He didn't write a late-night confession on social media. Yet those close to him say he heard every syllable and carried it like a stone in his pocket. He has been stealing time abroad, in and out of Europe for work and for quiet, and while he hasn't responded publicly, a line he supposedly shared with friends drifted out like a whisper. Some loves don't vanish, they fold themselves into silence to stay alive. That doesn't mean he expects the door to reopen. It means he keeps the room they built together tidy in his memory. The internet did what the internet does, it split in two. One side praised Cemre for stripping romance of its rose-colored filter and choosing peace. They applauded her clarity, her refusal to pour gasoline on a fire that once consumed them both. The other side, the believers who have been here since day one, refused to surrender the dream. They saw in her gentleness the proof that the love still breathes, and they read caution as hope in disguise. Within hours, comment sections filled with messages that sounded like prayers and eulogies at once. Cemre ended her statement with a promise to herself: she wants to listen to the tug of her heart and the calm of her mind at the same time. Her choice, she insisted, isn't punishment. It is acceptance. In a world where breakups are often painted with accusations, screenshots, and flame, her farewell felt like a window left open to let the light in rather than a door slammed shut. Is there no chance at all? The tabloids will keep that question on a loop, because this wasn't scorched earth. No public anger. No words you can't take back. Just the quiet courage to say love remains, yet the path is gone. Right now, Cemre is focusing the energy that once belonged to a relationship into the self she's rebuilding. Trips in and out of the country, new scripts being read, meetings tucked behind cafe doors, a refusal to feed curiosity with theatrics, all signs that she's turning the page in a deliberate, careful way. Friends say she doesn't want another story that's left unfinished. Meanwhile, when someone mentions her, Gökberk's eyes give him away before his mouth can lie. He's choosing distance because he respects the words she said out loud. As some experts like to remind us, a love can be impossible without a villain ever entering the room. Sometimes timing alone is ruthless. And as Cemre confessed, love is there, but a future together is not. What a ride this has been, tender, complicated, very human. The most intense goodbyes rarely come with broken plates and slammed doors. Sometimes they arrive hand in hand with honesty, and the strength to not return to what hurts even when your heart aches for it. Here at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we will keep an eye on every step Cemre and Gökberk take, because in show business, the rule of never say never has a way of circling back when you least expect it. But for now, this feels like a curtain lowered with care, not ripped down in anger. So tell us, do paths that once crossed so perfectly find a way to intersect again? Or do they become parallel lines, close but never touching? Drop your theories below. If today's deep dive gave you clarity, remember to subscribe, like the video, and if you can, join the channel. Your support powers the thoughtful storytelling you come here for. We'll see you in the next video with more truths whispered behind velvet curtains, spoken out loud only at Turkish Spotlight Secrets. And because so many of you want the inside texture of how this unfolded, here's what our sources say about the timeline that led to Cemre's statement. The renewed swirl began months ago after a string of almost overlapping appearances. A charity gala where they stood an arm's length apart, a director's dinner where they arrived separately but left within minutes of each other, a single mirrored image and a reflection on someone else's story that looked suspiciously like them. Just enough to light the match. Fans spun theories from pixels and posture, believing that patterns were destiny in disguise. The pair kept quiet. It wasn't a game. They were building the courage to speak from a place that wasn't anger. Before the special broadcast where Cemre finally faced the pointed questions, the two had met a few times away from cameras. Not in saffron light or rose petals. Bright afternoons, neutral corners, the kind of spaces where closure can breathe. They spoke about the beginning that felt like lightning, the midpoint where their ambition outpaced their trust, and the late nights that turned raw when both were exhausted. Then came the silences no one knew how to name. Saying those out loud, naming the moments that broke them, wasn't about reopening wounds. It was about acknowledging they existed, and that they shaped who they became. When Cemre told the world their love cannot live, she wasn't asking for sympathy. She was drawing a boundary around her peace. Her tone didn't accuse. She didn't reach for easy blame, no rival, no betrayer, no shadow sitting between them. It was the alchemy of two lives colliding under lights that never switch off, two careers soaring in different directions, two visions of home that didn't fit inside the same doorframe at the same time. And somewhere inside that, two people who still look at each other and remember why it once felt like fate. If you're listening closely, there's something graceful in how both have chosen to carry this. Cemre stepped out and said the hard sentence before it curdled into bitterness. Gökberk let the words land and resisted the urge to talk over them. The private line he supposedly shared, about certain loves folding into silence as a form of survival, says more than any speech could. It says he knows love can be honored without being lived. The audience split doesn't surprise anyone. It mirrors how close and how far apart they still seem. Some of you hear Cemre loud and clear, enough heard is enough. Others are hanging on to the softness in her eyes and the way her voice shifts when she says his name. Both readings hold a piece of the truth. But the choice has been made, and it belongs to them. As for what's next, watch the spaces where artistry and healing overlap. Cemre's calendar is filling quickly, though you won't catch her bragging. She prefers to do the work and let the work talk. Gökberk's schedule remains fluid, moving across borders for projects that challenge him. When the headlines quiet, both of them find room to breathe. And maybe that's the most honest outcome there is, love without a shared plan, respect without a promise to try again, a chapter that closes with both names intact. This story didn't give us the reunion ballads some were betting on. It gave us something rarer. Two people telling the truth while their hearts were still tender, choosing not to burn the bridge so that memory has a place to live. We'll keep listening, we'll keep looking, and if anything shifts, you'll hear it here first. Until then, take a breath with us. Not every ending is loud. Some are careful, and because of that, they last. You're watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Subscribe, ring the bell, consider joining, and thank you for sharing your time with us. The world of showbiz spins fast. We promise to bring you the stories with the care and context they deserve. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep your eyes on the small moments, the ones where the truth waits to be seen.